Spurs' upcoming season is so close, but yet it feels so far away.
Go, Spurs, go, 'cause the Giants stay.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. I hope you had a great weekend. And I caught an article from Air Alamo this morning. I know Air Alamo, but I thought they made some good points that I wanted to share with you. So without further ado, let's get into the article. And as you can see, their title matches pretty much the thumbnail. If the Detroit Pistons can take a leap, so can our San Antonio Spurs. The Pistons were last in the league 2 seasons ago with a record of 14-68. 14-68. They were the laughingstocks of the league. And my goodness, they sure were. Not only were they losing a lot, but they were losing in the lottery too. I believe 2 times, correct me if I'm wrong, they were the worst team in the NBA. And instead of getting the first overall pick, they dropped to number 5 both times. So yeah, bad during the season and the offseason. Anyway, 1 season later, they went 44-38. That was last season. And bypassed the play-in tournament portion of the playoffs altogether by finishing the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. I said it. So for anyone telling us, or Alamo, TSR, that a 50-win season is out of the question solely because the Spurs only won 34 games last year, they would like you to take a look at the Detroit Pistons' trajectory. And what do the Pistons have that San Antonio doesn't? Their best player is Cade Cunningham, who is a good player, absolutely. And the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama. You're building a franchise, Spurs fans. Sure, they'll be biased here. But are you building a franchise around Cade Cunningham or Wemby? Much like Air Alamo, I'll take Wemby. There's no other star on the Pistons right now. Just a lot of players who complement each other well, which is a good thing, which is what we want the Spurs to do. We want players that complement Wemby. And that's what the Spurs did. They made the moves in the offseason. And this is a good point, we might also as well include De'Aaron Fox on the summer acquisition list. Since he was compromised when he got to the team, he had the injury on his shooting hand, and barely played over a month before being shut down. I believe he played in 17 games. The front office made the right moves to add around their franchise star, so he had everything he needed to lead this team to the playoffs next season. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I agree. Absolutely agree the Spurs make the playoffs next season, but let's take a look at Detroit real quick. They talked about Detroit's trajectory, but didn't really dig into it, but I did. The last 6 years for the Pistons, from oldest to most recent, 20 wins, 20 wins, 23 wins, 17 wins, 14 wins, so they're actually getting worse, and then maybe the biggest surprise in the NBA last season, 44 wins. The Pistons were an absolute disaster with multiple coaching changes over the last 3 years. But last season, 44 wins in the playoffs. That's a plus 30 win jump from 2023 to 2024. And I don't see why our Spurs can't make a similar jump. Now, I'm not saying the Spurs are going to jump 30 wins. We're not winning 64. I don't think we're winning 64 games. I would be ecstatic if the Spurs did win 64 games next season, but let's be optimistic but also realistic. And I think 50 wins is realistic. And I know some of you are going to point this out immediately. You might have already typed it in the comments. TSR, the Western Conference is much tougher than the Eastern Conference. I agree, and it'll be even much tougher next year with the Eastern Conference taking a step back with so many injuries to key players like Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton and Damian Lillard, who's no longer in the Eastern Conference, but we don't want to forget him. Now let's also look back at our Spurs last season. 34 wins with a massive early season coaching change. And not just a coaching change where some teams, the head coach gets fired for poor performance. This was a coaching change due to a life-threatening medical issue to their head coach. That's got to be traumatic to the players, to the coaches, to the team, the franchise, to the fans. That was huge, and not in a good way. Talk about Wemby. He missed almost half the season. And we don't know just how much he was being affected in February, probably all of February, and probably a good portion of January, I would think. I'm not a doctor. There's no Dr. TSR here, but you got to think some of January he wasn't feeling well. To see his MVP level production in December, and then to see it kind of drop off throughout January, yeah, I think he was being affected. he's going to be at 100% this season. And we think he is. It looks like he is. Looks like he's bulked up a little bit too, something we've been wanting. Don't bulk up too fast. Not too fast. Put some weight on, put some girth on, so you can, get banged around in the paint too much. And it looks like he's doing that slowly but surely. And De'Aaron Fox, coming into the season, looks like going to be 100% healthy. I know I had a little scare with the hammy, but I think he's going to be fine. The team, they'll have an offseason together. The team will have an offseason together. The Spurs have added great depth with their bigs. That was one of the big things last season, no pun intended, that the Spurs needed big man depth. If you remember, go right before the All-Star break. Victor Wembanyama, Zach Collins, Charles Bassey. Bassey, I believe, was already dinged up at that point, so he wasn't playing much, and then he pretty much didn't play at all after that. So take him out, and then Zach Collins gets traded. Irony. That leaves just Wemby, who was then shut down after the All-Star break, which left nobody out of that crowd. We had Mamu, had to sign Biyombo. Credit to him for doing a great job off wherever he was. The Spurs have fixed that, bringing on Luke Cornett, who I think is going to be an absolutely fantastic and fun to watch backup, and probably going to share some time on the court with Wemby. Olenek, I think, is going to be a very solid backup and may get more minutes than I expect. Also, like other things they've done on the roster, they've, I hate to say it, but trimmed the fat by finally moving on from Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham. I sincerely wish it worked out with both those players. They were both first-round picks in 2022 along with Jeremy Sochan, but it just didn't work. And the Spurs decided to finally move on. The Spurs appear to put a fantastic coaching staff around Mitch Johnson, who's going to be in his first full season as the Spurs head coach. I personally can't see why 50 wins, barring injury, is unrealistic for some fans. A lot of you agree, TSR 50 wins, yep. Some of you are like, nah, 44. Some of you have said a lottery team again, which, if you think the Spurs are going to be a lottery team again, then I understand your question marks around Mitch Johnson. I do. I get that. But are you expecting Wemby not to be like one of the great players that's behind me here, the one next to him you can't see in Tim Duncan? Are you not expecting him to join that echelon of great Spurs sometime in the future? Do you think De'Aaron Fox is just that bad? He had obviously little success in Sacramento, but you don't think the 1-2 punch of Wemby and Fox is not going to be successful? Do you not believe in Area 51 getting any better? Wemby and Stephon Castle? And yes, I also understand there's other question marks on the team. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, but we've talked about that at length ad nauseum. I think this is a 50-win team. Anything less than 50, I'll be disappointed. Now, if it's like 47 or 48, I'll be, okay, fine. We were close to 15. That's not going to be a disappointment. But if it's sub 500, then I would call that season an absolute bust, and I would be shocked if that happens again. It's been 6 losing seasons in a row, 6 years without the playoffs. I see both those streaks ending this season. What do you see happening? We talk about it here and there, but with a little perspective with the Detroit Pistons, I want to talk about it. And, well, haven't done a Spurs video in a while, though I have done a plethora of Yankees shorts recently because they may be getting stomped on by the Red Sox. Going to have a lot of Giant shorts coming up because the NFL season's around the corner. Plus, I'll troll the Cowboys, Eagles, and Commanders win. Appropriately because they're NFC East rivals. It just basically means pretty soon, sooner than later, there's going to be a lot of content coming back to TSR Sports. Been enjoying the summer off, building up the Philobox Comics channel, and I do, just a quick side note, think that channel will get monetized by the end of the year. Not a channel I'm doing for money, I'm doing it for the community. I'm having a lot of fun over there talking comics, but that I'm going to feel like it's a little small achievement unlocked, to have 2 channels monetized that are completely different in content. So that's all I got. Comment down below on this, hit the thumbs up, support the channel, and subscribe to become part of our awesome Spurs community. I thank you, and as always, go Spurs go.